Hi, this is your 2019 yearly horoscopes with me, Lada, from Astrolada.com. Thank you for choosing me to be your guide for the year 2019. I feel very flattered. And I just want, before we start, and this is the intro for all 12 signs, but it's important for you to watch it. And before I start for each sign, I want to invite you to join me in a little prayer, no matter who you believe in and what you believe in, just to focus our energy and to benefit the most through this reading. Dear Mother, Father, Universe, God, exalted angels, guardians of every human, those that are helping the evolution of humanity and of every individual person. Please bless everyone who watches those videos and the whole world in 2019. Let those videos and the information that is given here be useful to everyone, so everyone can use it to the most constructive possible ways, to the highest vibration of the planets. And even if there are challenging periods and moments in our life in 2019, let this video and this information give us not only clarity but a meaning and understanding of those more painful experiences that are in front of us, so we realize that life is not an adversary to battle with and conquer, that life is our benevolent good partner that is trying to lead us to discover our true authenticity. It is trying to lead us to a place of happiness, to a place of truthfulness. So let this year 2019 and the information we receive here, let us use it to the highest good for everyone involved, and let us be able to utilize the planetary energies to help ourselves, to uplift ourselves and those around us. Amen. So I want for you to benefit the most. Thank you so much for joining me, by the way, in the prayer. So for you to benefit the most from this, I want you to take a pen and paper and write down 3 things. And some of you would be just listening your sun sign. Others would be just listening to your moon sign. Others bought all the 12 videos, so you'll be able to be watching your ascendant, sun, and moon. But I always advise you, watch your ascendant sign, because if you go to a professional astrologer, they'll look at your ascendant and how the planets are in correspondence, where they're moving from that ascendant. And nowadays, more and more astrologers are using the ancient time of astrology, which is whole sign house system. So these videos are perfect. The whole sign house system is what when first astrologers created it, the system they were using it. So without the house cusps and anything. So the ascendant is the point of incarnation of the physical body. So it is of the soul into the physical body. It is the physical bodies. That's why it shows the most tangible things that are happening to us. That's why I always advise, check the prognosis for your ascendant sign. The moon sign is our inner world, how we feel, our self-consciousness. So the moon usually manifests the second most powerful after the ascendant sign, because we especially strongly identify with how we feel about something, and something that impacts us emotionally. And even though, for example, from the ascendant, some big event might be happening, like changing of place of living, but from the moon, it's shown that, for example, you will be having a quarrel with a friend. For you, this will be a way bigger deal, because emotionally this feels much stronger for you, this quarrel with a friend, for example, than the relocation that's happening. But from the ascendant, it shows the specific things that are happening in your life in a tangible way, because the ascendant is the material body and what is happening to us on our path in that material body. And the sun sign is what most of the people only check, and but that's pop astrology. But still, the sun sign is very important. The sun sign is our willpower, our goals. It's our ability to channel divine intelligence. And the sun sign will show us, looking at the prognosis from the sun sign, will show us especially the things that we are striving towards to achieve consciously. And the prognosis for the sun sign, we tend to have more free will over that prediction, what you're going to read, because the sun is connected to free will, while the moon symbolizes the past. These are things that often happen. The prediction from the moon are encoded from the past, while from the ascendant sign, it's sealed in stone, so to speak, So yes, checking the sun sign is very important, especially because you can direct the events there more with your free will. The moon sign, you feel like it's more fated and it affects your feelings the most in your personal life. And the ascendant sign is the most tangible event. So I would advise start with the ascendant sign and progress. And for you to know, though, a lot of people don't know, the sun sign is the one that everyone speaks about. You know, like, oh, what are you? I'm an Aries. It means I'm born from March the 20th to April 20th, something like that. But and I can give you predictions for, oh, if you're born from March 1st to March 5th, this and this will be happening for you. But every year they change, the sun moves into a different sign a day before or after, and I want to be way more precise for you. So instead of giving you days, we're gonna find the degrees of your sun, the degrees of your moon, and the degrees of your ascendant signs. And for some of you, the moon and the ascendant might be the same, or the sun and the moon. Rarely, but it happens. So for you to find this out, I want you to, and I'm going to share my screen with you. Let me just. Here it is. Share. So I hope you see it. Go to my birth website, astrolada.com. You see it here. And go to the birth chart and transits. Or if you have any other astrology calculator, I don't mind as long as it gives you the information that I'm going to show. So here I'm going to put a fictitious person, let's say whatever name. Write your name. So you're born in August the 6th, 1972, for example, at 8 a.m. or make sure that if you're born later, you check if it's 8 p.m., 20, And it's important for your correct ascendant and for the degree, in particular for the ascendant and the direct degree of the moon, the correct sign and degree of the moon, for you to know your minute of birth. If you don't know it within 15, 20 minutes, the degree of the ascendant might be 3 or 4 degrees off, but the moon degree would usually be correct. But say you're born 8/17, and say you're born in the USA, and you're born in New York, and you have the drop-down menu. Which New York are you born in? Well, there are many New Yorks, say New York Hospital, whatever. And continue, press continue. And then you're gonna get this chart, and I want you to scroll down, you see, not here, but here inside. And you're gonna see this, which shows planetary details. And I want you to, there is abbreviation of ascendant, sun, and moon. This is the only work you have to do. After that, just listen and enjoy and wait to hear your degrees. I'll be speaking generally about each sign, but especially when I mention the degree of the sign that you have. This is when things are going to, you're going to feel them so intensely. So this person, for example, has ascendant, which means your rising sign is the same. Ascendant, rising means the same. The physical body, it is at 20 degrees Aquarius. I want you to write just the first degree. The second one is not so important. This is 28 minutes. This is very minimal. So 20 degrees, write down on a piece of paper, Aquarius 20 degrees. You have to watch the video for Aquarius. And every time I mention Aquarians born, say, from 17 to 21 degrees and you're 20, they'll experience this in particular this year. And you should be like, okay, this is very specific for you. It's gonna manifest. You're gonna feel it. Then write down your sun sign. This person, for example, has sun at 14 degrees Leo. And the moon sign. The moon sign for this person is at 16 degrees Cancer. So if you've bought, for example, if your sun is in Leo, make sure that you know the degree for your sun. So in this case, this is the sign. The sun is the sign everyone knows. I'm a Leo, I'm a Virgo, So, but make sure you check the degree of your sun. Check the degree of your sun. Check the degree of your ascendant or moon, whichever one you're waiting. And then, so for example, if you have the all 15 videos, this person has to check the video for Aquarius, Leo, and Cancer. So I hope it's not too complicated. It's actually quite simple. You can watch the video a few times to understand what it means. But now know the degree. Write it down, have it on a piece of paper, and whatever you're listening to, if it's your moon sign that you're listening, knowing the degree, when you hear your moon degree, you're like, ting, that's specific for me. For the ascendant sign, overall, the whole prediction is very correct. While for the sun and moon sign, again, you would feel it maybe to a lesser degree, but especially when I mention your sun or moon degree, this is going to, it's happening. Whatever I talk about, it's happening. You feel it strongly. It's going to be so important for you that year. So, with that introduction, thank you so much. And we're going to start with the signs one by one. Cancer 2019. And I'm even wearing the color of Cancer, which is pale pink, according to ancient Vedic texts, and the stone of Cancer, which is pearl. Hopefully, we're going to tune in and align with the energy of Cancer and what's to come most truthfully. Whenever you want to tap into some energy, always wear the color. So if you want certain quality to be enhanced in your life of that sign, the stone of that sign, just a quick advice anyway. So let's see what's happening for you, Cancer, starting with Jupiter. Jupiter will be in your sixth house till December. And Jupiter basically rules expansion and growth wherever it goes. But the sixth house is not very friendly with Jupiter. And the sixth house is very different than the energy of Jupiter. So there can be a bit of a clash there. So let's see what can happen. Jupiter expands in growth, and sixth house is about disagreement, discord, accusation. So these things can increase in your life. You can feel like you're in less harmonious environment generally, and that there are more people with victim narrative mentality around you, people that are complaining more, or people that are more critical. And you say, but Jupiter is supposed to give good things. Well, yes, but the sixth house, it will expand that. Unfortunately, this more discord causing and environment of the sixth house, and especially people that are unwilling to agree, unwilling to find a solution. There will be more around you, such kind of individuals and such occurrences of accusation or discord of some sort. But how is Jupiter going to help there? The ultimate goal of Jupiter through your sixth house is it gives you a philosophical view of those matters. And despite of those increasing in occurrence while Jupiter is there, you will be like as if you're above those things. Jupiter looks at problems, which sixth house is the house of problems, with a much more philosophical eye from a higher perspective. So the ultimate goal of this transit is to put you above those petty, everyday, mundane irritations that are symbolized by the sixth house, whether it's someone who is being critical or bickering with you, or someone who is accusing you of something, and someone who is constantly taking the victim mentality, or feeling sorry for themselves, or saying like, oh, things will never be good, and you somehow become like a teacher of such people, and you kind of get the high perspective, and you look at those problems as a normal thing, or you look at those problems as a necessary evil, so to speak, and you sometimes you might try to resolve them, even because Jupiter always wants to help. So you'll be involving yourself in such situations, trying to help such people more, because Jupiter is a very charitable planet. And the sixth house is all people that are dissatisfied, people that are sick, that are poor, that are critical, that are judgmental, that are more negative in their, or that they're in more difficult circumstances of some sort. Or maybe they're like the pebble in your shoe, and with their behavior somehow. And Jupiter will make you much more compassionate towards such situations, to understand them from a higher perspective. And you might try and help a lot of people. People often can get even involved in some kind of service, helping someone. Maybe someone is sick and you're trying to help them, you're trying to keep them more positive. Maybe someone is going through a divorce, sixth house rules divorces, and you're trying to keep them again in a more positive state, and to uplift them, or to help others in such problems. So this is here we have a chance when Jupiter is transiting your sixth house to be more charitable and to build up some good karma. And also, if you found yourself in such situations of discord, you're being accused, you're being pointed the finger at, you're being like enemies is the sixth house, if they're attacking you in some way, or uh, if there is some discord, and sixth house is dissolution of contracts and agreements, if something in a contract and agreement is not working, or even it's dissolution of marriages, if there is such kind of a disharmonious situation, someone will appear like a teacher, like a wise guru to help you, like a wise specialist or counselor, someone to, or maybe you'd read such information and such more spiritual and high-minded and philosophical texts that give you a higher perspective on those matters, and then help you. And Jupiter will try and help you, no matter how, to overcome your victim narrative. So if till now you are like blaming life for this situation, for this illness, for this unhappy marriage, whatever it is that annoys you on a daily basis, that makes you out of balance and disharmonious, and a lot of people just blame out the circumstances or blame someone else. It looks like it's like that, but Jupiter will help you through some teacher, as I said, through some reading material, or finding the right philosophical belief system of some sort, to realize that those things are there to be our teachers, to help us develop certain parts of ourselves. And Jupiter can even help you develop a positive attitude towards those negative things in your life. It might be an imbalanced state like a disease, or a situation of discord, or enmity with someone, like an enemy situation, and irritation, and you take the higher stand. Now you'll be able to do that, and you might even want to learn and research and study, because Jupiter is about higher knowledge, about how to solve conflict, about how to help those in need as well, and how to help yourself from victim mentality and from negative patterns in your life. On another level, the sixth house is anything to do with our health routines, how we take care of our health. And Jupiter, when it transits there, can create certain conditions, because Jupiter expands, that are more about biliousness. Biliousness, like swelling of something, because Jupiter swells and expands. It can be like swelling of the intestines or something. But at the same time, Jupiter will make you much more inspired towards learning and finding high information, high knowledge of how to deal better with your health, and how to incorporate certain health habits or certain mental behaviors that will improve your some imbalance or some difficult health situation in your life. And I have many examples when Jupiter transited someone's sixth house that they found and got very enthusiastic about reading about health, about books on nutrition, about especially more gentle methods of healing, which is by tweaking the diet, which is by eliminating certain toxics. And a person starts kind of voraciously studying about those things, and they even get a joy about those things when Jupiter is in the sixth house. So this can be a time where there can be a resolution of some health problem of yours, finding actually the knowledge, or the right doctor, or the right specialist, because the sixth house rules all people also that try to help us heal from certain health conditions. And you kind of like gives you knowledge for you to manage or to improve a certain imbalance and health situation in your life. It can also make you more enthusiastic about taking care of your body, because Jupiter always makes us more positive and excited to do something, enthusiastic about whether it's nutrition or exercise of some sort. Jupiter does not make us work very hard. Jupiter does not give us this attitude that like whatever it happens, I'll eliminate this health problem. It's more like a good karma that dissolves it, almost like you find the right information, or it kind of dissolves on its own whatever health problem is there during this period. So that's another possibility. On another level, the sixth house is your work responsibilities and duties. If you're employed, for example, You might your work responsibilities and duties can increase because Jupiter expands wherever it passes, but it's gonna be for good. You can like grow your work. That's one way. Jupiter can grow your work when it transits the sixth house. It can grow your work opportunities as well. uh, it can also improve the work environment in some way. If there were more accusations and stresses while Jupiter is there in the 12th house, even though if they initially they can come up, Jupiter will help you get above them and overcome them in some way. So growth of if you're self-employed, or if you're self-employed, or if you're managing other people and people are working for you, Jupiter can increase the number of your employees. Jupiter can bring you much better and benefic employees or house help. Anyone that you employ to help you with something, whether it's a contractor to do something on your house, whether it's someone to clean your house, whether it's someone to do your marketing and advertising, whatever it is. So if you're a manager in some company and you have those that are subordinate to you, this is the sixth house. Well, Jupiter will help in this case and will help that those people will be more understanding. Those people will be of a better quality. They'll try to do good. You know, they'll be easygoing personalities. You can even start, like have they become more better inclined towards you. All subordinates, as I said. And if you're subordinate yourself, the conditions of your work environment somehow improve. Or if you work in any sixth house career, this can be a very positive time for you. Sixth house careers are if you're in the medical field, if you're a nurse, if you're a doctor, if you're anyone that is helping the sick, the poor, or if you are in social services or in any ministry of service, any service ministry, sorry. And if you're someone helping those in also in litigation, people that are in imbalanced situations, in divorce, or in a situation of for example, of accusation of one another, that's the sixth house again. So if you're a lawyer that deals with such matters, if you are a doctor that deals with sick people, if you're a social service person, or if you work on other services in the military, for example, then your career can take off and your career can really expand, and the clientele can expand, and your knowledge and understanding about matters of health as a doctor can expand. Your wisdom about those things can expand. So if you're in any sixth house career, or if you're a cleaner, if you're in any service to another, there'll be more opportunities for work opportunities grow, and it should be a successful year. On another level, Jupiter is also sending full positive aspect to your second house, cancers, from the sixth house, and it indicates that there can be financial improvement of some sort as well, because Jupiter grows whatever it touches. So financial security can also improve this year, and Jupiter is sending a full trine also to your 10th house in Aries, which means obviously career, your reputation, as well. There are opportunities because, of course, growing your work and growing and improving the conditions of work, or growing the offers there, will definitely improve your social status and your career in some way. So good for material things, for career, for work, for money. This is those Jupiter helps with those things, despite of increasing the daily problems and irritations you have to deal with, but you kind of have a wisdom and wise approach towards them, and you kind of above those things. Okay, and you can learn a lot about conflict resolution, managing problems of any sort. All right, and we have another very powerful influence in your horoscope, guys, and that's, of course, Saturn, which is going to be in your seventh house, and it's been already in your seventh house for the past 1 year. And you still feel it even if you already started experiencing it. But Saturn in particular is most powerful if you have your sun, moon, or ascendant from 13 to 21 degrees in Cancer. And Saturn is making an opposition exactly to those degrees. If you're before 13 degrees, or before before 13 or 11 degrees, before 11 degrees actually in Cancer, Saturn already make the opposition exactly to your sun, moon, or ascendant in 2018 and maybe the beginning of 2019 as well. So the most difficult part of and the most intense part of Saturn transiting your seventh house has been experienced already. It will continue, but much weaker for those of you who are before the 13th degree or even the 11th degree. Those, though, from those degrees in Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, Saturn is very potent for you. And if you're after the 21 degree, you'll feel it 2020 after that, the most intense part. But still, everyone who is Cancer has Saturn in the seventh sign from their Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, which indicates that there will be some demands, because Saturn is a demanding planet, and some demands or some uh, ultimatums or some rules that are imposed on you from another person. It might be a business partner, it might be a personal partner, it might be some other person that you're involved closely with. And so the demands on you will grow, the responsibility in your life will come, but coming through another person. I remember when I had Saturn transiting the seventh house from my sun. This is when my partner then would was trying to teach me to be very responsible and to work very hard. So he would have a list on the wall of me of all the chores I have to do this day, what I have to do to develop my business. So he was giving me like instructions, and he had a heavy-handed approach. Saturn always brings people that they don't um, they don't try to teach you good lessons with a feather. They're like, okay, iron fist, this is what you have to do, this is my demand, and this is, and he told me, like, if you don't find a job, if you don't develop this business, we can't stay together, you know. So I had like ultimatum, and that was great, to be honest. Yes, I wasn't very happy having to do those things, those extra duties and responsibilities, having to work so hard, because Saturn is about working hard and even taking a position of servitude sometimes, or taking a position of doing the dirty work, the hard work. But someone is trying to teach you the lesson of discipline, the lesson of accountability and responsibility, whether an accountability in relationship or accountability in other parts in your life. Someone else is pushing you in that direction, and it's not with a feather. It's with iron fist, as I said. And you have to kind of take into consideration, not only take into consideration, but really apply yourself based on external pressure from someone. Usually it's marriage partner, business partner, someone else close to you. Uh, and your responsibilities in a relationship also increase a lot. Uh, it might have to do with doing some mutual project together, for example. And that's very good, Saturn in the seventh house, for business collaborations, because Saturn is about hard work. And business is, of course, about being that and being accountable and doing your share of the work. And Saturn makes you, whether you wanted to know, be accountable. And you also will have such demands towards others, because this is still your horoscope. It's like a mirroring effect. And you'd demand from partners, business or personal, and clients to be more responsible, to be more, to do their share as well. And you'll be dissatisfied if they don't. It goes both ways. The people that are around you in your life, they will demand this from you, but you would also be demanding this from others, to be accountable towards you, to be straightforward, to have lawful and straight actions, no, and more practical actions. Someone is demanding it from you, and you are demanding it from someone else as well, or a few other people. And but it's good when it comes to business, because these are the things needed. And you can strengthen a business relationship, for example, by taking extra responsibilities or duties. But it can be more draining, and it can be more, let's say, strenuous on a personal relationship. For example, in a marriage or boyfriend girlfriend situation, when you're in a committed relationship. For example, when Saturn is in the seventh house, it can mean that the partner has many heavy responsibility, and this takes him away uh, because of certain responsibilities or extra work, that you can't be as close, and there can be some distance that appears in the relationship, or not enough time to be together because of too many duties of some sort. Maybe you have them or maybe the partner, but this coolness can be felt in a relationship somehow. It doesn't mean that Saturn in the seventh house will interrupt the relationship. Saturn tends to preserve the status quo, especially in Capricorn. So if you're in a marriage, it it's not a situation that usually indicates that this marriage will end. If you've already had the previous degrees, maybe you are already in that situation that, in 2018, that you might have been dissatisfied in a relationship, because Saturn makes you see what doesn't work and what you're not happy about, and you become dissatisfied in a relationship or a few. But it's hard to take a decision to break it off fully, because Saturn is trying to hold on to what is. It wants things. It wants to keep structures, and there is still a bit of that in 2019, not still, especially for those who have 13 to 21 degrees sun, moon, or ascendant, and it can lock a relationship in a kind of a state there is, you see what doesn't work. It becomes very clear to you, and you feel a sense of dissatisfaction, what you don't like about the partner, or the partner feels it towards you. And if this relationship is, let's say, stable, and if it's a good one for you, it survives a Saturn transit. It just feels a bit more demanding, as I said, and it feels like you're clearing up some unnecessary appendages in the relationship, some impractical expectations or beliefs systems about, or beliefs or behaviors in regards to your relationships, business or personal. But Saturn can remove people in your life that are basically unnecessary, because Saturn is symbolized by the death with the scythe, and the scythe chops off anything that is dead, but it will leave those relationships that still have life force in them. It will desiccate from a relationship the unnecessary, unhealthy parts of that relationship. It will streamline it. It will make it much more practical and realistic. It entails a process of some kind of disappointment for seeing a problem and then trying to work hard through it. So Saturn can really strengthen a relationship when it transits the seventh house. But if there is willingness on both sides to work hard and to remove some unnecessary behaviors to some unnecessary part of their relationship, and something that has outlived its, let's say, it has outlived its purpose in the relationship. And again, it can just play out as they're just heavier responsibilities that puts a bit strain in your relationship. Generally in your life, some heavier responsibility. Like, for example, my husband has been going through this transit in 2018, and it has, yes, I've been so busy working Saturn in his seventh house that it's put a bit of a strain or kind of a bit of a distance in the relationship. But if it's a strong relationship, again, there is, if anything, Saturn locks it even more into a deeper commitment. But this year it's a bit different than last, because Saturn is going to be together with the South Node, which we called Ketu, and especially around those degrees again. And this means that you'll be it's not so fixed this time. It's not so fixed. And yes, Ketu also makes you become more detached. Ketu helps you become more detached. So if you have to remove a relationship from your life after examining it, and after trying to fix it and it's not working or something, it might be a personal or business relationship or a contract with clients, and if it's not working, Ketu will give you the detachment to let it go and to dissolve it and to release it finally. The 2018 was harder to release relationships from Cancers, because it was just Capricorn on its own, and it's kind of keeps the status quo, as I said, or makes it very slow process. If you're in the process of separation, it draws it out and it takes much longer. But Ketu now brings this detachment and ability to excrete, because it's the dragon's tail. So this year will be easier to remove, and without actually creating drama. Both Saturn is about acceptance and detachment. Ketu is about very similar. Ketu is about releasing expectations, releasing, trying to control things. So basically it will help you in some way what is not necessary to let go of it. And yes, there will be releasing of certain aspects of relationships or whole relationships or contractual agreements. Speaking about especially karmic ones, uh, and and Ketu can help you disconnect from someone easier because you become kind of whatever. Ketu is a bit apathetic. It's like, done this already. So okay, I can release it now. And Saturn in the seventh house can also slow down a little bit developments with relationships generally. Uh, for example, you might have some plans, let's do this together with your partner, whatever, but Saturn, because of again responsibilities or duties or some external factors, can delay those to some extent. And also projects that you're doing mutually together with another person, Saturn can delay them. It will manifest them. It's not a bad time actually to do any projects with another person. It's especially, but they take longer and they take a few attempts for them to happen, starting over a few times or stop and start energy. So if you're collaborating in a business project or trying to achieve some agreement or sign some contract, if you're any career that's connected to agreements, negotiations, contracts, or counseling and advising, or design of any sort is also the seventh house. These projects are going more slower. Business negotiations of any sort, they're going more slower, but at this, and they still can manifest. Saturn is transiting through its own sign, so it gives manifestation. But you have to be just more patient with those things. Try them over and over, and after repeated effort. The same matters for personal relationships. You can really strengthen a personal relationship, but trying with more efforts over and over, and you can end up with a much stronger one after that. Or if it's really like all had dried out and there is no life to it anymore, Saturn just cuts the appendage, and Ketu will help you do this process in a more detached way without like drama. So I'll give you an advice. Your attitude towards relationships, business, personal, of any sort, and contractual relationships of any sort, and agreements and contracts should be more of business attitude. Business is not personal, and more of a detached and one, and with acceptance. Accept the situation, whatever it is. It's going to be slow moving. Be willing to work hard on it, but leave the results in God's hands. And so accept it. Uh, don't all the time complain about it, because just when you start complaining, Saturn makes things worse. You start feeling like a victim, and thankfully Jupiter in the sixth house will be helping you come above a state mentality of victimhood. And actually Saturn can manifest a relationship for you guys, but usually it's with the if you're single, for example, it's usually though with someone older, at least 7 years, or some age difference between you, 7 years or something. And because Ketu is also there, it might be someone who is, there's a past life connection, or someone from the past as well. Or it can be with someone who is kind of spiritual, or more spiritual connection of some sort as well. It's a relationship that's not some kind of based on just raw sexual energy. There is something more refined and spiritual towards it, and something that feels familiar. It's almost like might be like picking up a relationship from a past lifetime. But the starting of this relationship will take, and the agreement on what both sides need, in the relationship, and whether it's going, whether it's getting more committed or no, takes slower and longer process. Just the same, again, as I said, with business negotiations, agreements. But once Saturn moves out of those degrees and fully from Capricorn, which is by 2020 at some part, it will come back to it, but you will have much more streamlined relationships. Without you'd have much more clear ideas of what you don't want in relationships, and much more clear, and you'd have much more better boundaries to cut people off, or not to let people who are users or anything like that in your life, because hopefully Saturn helps like define and helps one have more self-discipline and kind of crystallized idea in regards to who to let in their life and knowing discrimination. Saturn is a discriminating planet. Um, and what you don't like in relationships. So it just kind of cuts off the necessary appendages and behaviors in relationships and or in an existing relationship already, and leaves you with just the necessary, with just the most practical uh, ideas or the most practical attitudes towards a relationship, um, and no nonsense approach. And you're gonna be feeling it like no nonsense. You have rules and conditions. If the partner fulfills it, okay, it's a gold deal. It might go a bit slower, but it goes. If the partner doesn't fulfill it, move on. And that's how you're gonna feel, basically. And that can indicate you can attract some very decent person. You can attract some very stable and responsible person, someone who is a non bullshitter, who is practical, who's realistic, who is not like just telling you fairy tales and not keeping those promises. And you're going through this process of learning to recognize those people and just leave such people, whether clients or business partners or marriage partners in your life. At the same time, though, if you're in a marriage situation, your partner might be going through some tough times. Saturn gives many responsibilities and duties, or something difficult that they have to overcome, or some pressure on them. And Ketu can make them feel a bit apathetic, distant, detached, can make them feel like they're losing some part of their identity and of their ego, and that they're and you're gonna feel, if you're married, you're gonna notice this in a partner, and you might have to be there for them to support them through this slow process um, of going through a bit of a tougher time, and same time shading an old part of themselves and self-identification. Um, at the same time, Rahu will be transiting, and you might feel like you're not getting as much support as you expect from another partner, or as much as you want. That's another possibility with Ketu in the seventh house that can happen. And of course, if it's a not good relationship, Ketu will dissolve it or help you release it. On another level, Ketu, Rahu, the dragon's head, is going to be in your first house. Whoa. And it's going to be in your first house the whole 2019 and part of 2020. So, Cancers, you'll start feeling stronger on your own. You have, Rahu gives you passion. Even Rahu is passionate, is desirous. You're gonna start feeling like you yourself are more passionate and desirous about your own life, about your own future, and you're gonna start becoming more independent. First house is about independence, and you're gonna want to carve out a niche, or kind of like a new identity for yourself that is more empowered, that is more glamorous, that is more independent. Rahu is all those things. And a bit more exotic. Some of you might even incorporate into your appearance, which is the first house, more exotic elements, like dye their hair differently, or or start wearing clothes that are very different and unusual, different culture as well. You can get a fascinating look, because especially if it's your ascendant is the appearance, Rahu brings a fascinating energy and appearance into someone, very vibrant, very charismatic, very, and with the sun and moon as well to some extent, and especially desire to transform yourself in a way that looks more empowering, in a way that looks more privileged appearance as well, because Rahu more exotic as well. Uh, so while you might have to let go of certain relationships and might have to have some difficulties there that you're going through, some big life changes in regards to that are going a bit slower, possibly because of the Saturn. At the same time, Rahu gives you such lust for life, transiting the first house, such lust for new beginnings. The first house is new beginnings, and it's known in ancient Vedic astrology when Rahu and Ketu transit the axis of the moon or the ascendant, especially, much lesser degree the sun. there is the start of powerful new relationship. It can and the end of and the very karmic relationships happen, very destined relationships happens, and new beginnings in life. And in your case, you can even let go of a partner because you have a new vision for yourself and who you want to be, new ambitions and goals for yourself, the desire to be more independent, the desire to spread your wings. Rahu is voracious, insatiable, excitable, and it's in your first house. It's you. You're gonna become like, I want to live. I want to have those privileges, so those entitlements. Rahu wants entitlements and privileges and wants to the world to be their oyster. And Rahu is foreign things, to explore foreign things, to spread wings, to empower themselves, to do it alone or to do it without carrying an appendage that it's no longer necessary in their life. And while though Saturn in the seventh house can make the process of releasing past relationship more laborious and slower, but Ketu gives you the detachment to do that. But still, it can be a time for many Cancers, Cancer rising, especially Cancer moons, that they can have powerful new beginnings in their life, through relationships in which they feel more empowered. But if it's your sun in Rahu, usually it means the sun is more connected to, and sun is male figure, so they can be a new, excitable male figure. Rahu in the first house that appears, that is exotic. That is, if you're a woman, that can mean actually even a very fated, important life partner, someone who is exotic, who is excitable, who is different than anything, and who is new karma for you. Someone who is like new, very new, and even with the moon when Rahu transited there, um, uh, emotional bond. But at the same time, it can the sun is the sun symbolizes your career and your ability to create the kingdom that you want, to create the vision for your life that you want. And Rahu will really intensify this desire for success, will intensify this desire for achievement, will intensify this desire uh, for new beginnings in regards to there, and to expand as well. And Rahu gives material results, so it can mean like a big promotion if it's your son, or it can mean like big or new big ambitions, like a new business that you start, or it can mean, for example, when the ancient texts say that when Rahu is making an eclipse, because it does it when your sun, you can become like a king, so take a higher social status of some sort. And when it's in the first house, I've seen it over and over. For example, a person is more of a winner and comes out on the stage, and it's kind of wins over others and is there, in the foremost central stage. For example, when Rahu transited the ascendant of President Trump, he became a president, and he gave them this visibility. And take a chart of anyone, when Rahu transits the ascendant or the sun, they kind of come to the forefront somehow, because Rahu gives material fast results, and actually they can be a sudden rise into a different direction in your life, because the first house, the ascendant, means your direction. If it's your ascendant in Cancer, the direction in your life, and it might be very new direction and sudden rise through that new direction, that it gives you an empowerment. But it wants mostly to teach you about, give you the confidence to start new beginnings. This is what it is. Uh, Saturn and Ketu are teaching you to release unnecessary relationship. Rahu is teaching you to take the risk and plunge into new beginnings, to take the risk and go after something, let's say even kind of, something more risky that you usually wouldn't. And people feel more fascinated with you, even your appearance and aura becomes stronger. Rahu magnifies those things, magnifies the ambitions. And as I said, if it's the sun there, it can introduce exotic male figures in your life, or exotic and new directions in your career, suddenly changes and stuff. And especially around the eclipses. And I have here the eclipses. You can expect this, that I was talking about Rahu in the first house. There is the if you're in the last degrees of Cancer, so 27, 28, 29, the January 21st eclipse, let me see, 27 degrees to 20 to 30 basically in Cancer, January. The January 25th eclipse is falling in the first degree of Leo, so there can be a sudden life-changing, if you have anything, your sun or ascendant in those degrees, life-changing in regards to your career, if it's the sun in regards to family, if it's the moon. Actually, Rahu transiting the moon can bring parenthood, manifest parenthood. Like when I had 2 eclipses on my moon within 1 year, twice within 2-3 months, I found out I was pregnant. And that's motherhood, you know. So if you have your moon in particularly in those degrees and in around January, so even in December, 2-3 months after January, or if you have those degrees of your sun or moon from 7 till 13, the 10th degree being the strongest where the eclipse is happening in Cancer. This is the next solar eclipse, is very powerful. This one is really powerful with Rahu. It's going to bring some big shift in your life. And it's happening in July the 2nd. Actually, that's the birthday of my husband, who is Cancer, 10 degrees sun. Wow. It can, those eclipses, and because it's a Rahu eclipse, big change. If you're Cancer sun, big change in your career, new development, new direction in your life. If it's your moon, it might be something to do with women, with family, relationships, with personal life. If it's your ascendant, your whole direction in life changes, but it brings you something. It brings you some new, exciting, unusual direction. And that is not just July. Such an eclipse will affect, if you have around those degrees, the whole year, you know, for you. But the eclipses, but what I was talking about, Rahu in the first house, continues throughout the whole 2019 for everyone. Just those degrees feel it a bit stronger than others, you know. And specifically 2020, there will be also eclipses in Cancer. Well, there was already 2018, an eclipse in Cancer, but all will feel Rahu. And all will feel this lustful life, this lustful new beginning, this ability to take the plunge and take a bit more risk, even though Saturn is also making an opposition to some of you from 13 to 21 degrees. So those new beginnings can be a bit slower moving for them because of certain demands from others, so slowing down from a partner, or because of certain responsibilities towards others, or because of certain contractual agreements that are going a bit slower. But new beginnings are there for you, Cancer, in a big way that wants to empower you, to make you independent. And by the way, Rahu for the next few years will keep rising up to your 10th house. This is a period of rise, and especially you can reach a peak of some sort when Rahu is in your 10th house in a few years from now. I think like 6-7 years, no less, 5, something like that, 3-4 years, 4 or 5 the most, yeah. But the rise starts from now when Rahu transits your first house and is going to the 10th house. You're becoming more and more visible and more independent and more willing to take risks to achieve your goals, you know. All right. So we spoke about Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, Jupiter. And I want to give you a few degrees that are very important as well. You see, there are so many different degrees are being activated for Cancer this year. So I guess almost everyone who is here will be hearing their degrees, but the whole prediction is generally correct for everyone. Just someone feels it way more intense, and that's those degrees. Uranus is affecting some of you only. Uranus from your 10th house is making a square to those who have anything from 28 degrees. So 28, 29, the last 2 degrees basically in Cancer. And that's only till April. So the first 4 months, and these changes, if you have anything in Cancer from those last degrees, they started already from last year because Uranus already squared, whether it's your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, introducing some sudden changes, some sudden reversals, some disruptive but exciting events as well. And maybe especially to do with career or with your goals. But it can be from many different areas, so big sudden changes that are happening, and very likely to do with your social status in your career. But they have started already. Now it's just till the end of April. It's the last time to you're implanting them, and to your the last unsettling things or surprises can come till then, and after that things come down for Cancers in regards to Uranus, which Uranus brings those sudden changes that are in a totally new direction, that can feel disruptive. Uh, and after that, Uranus will start making a sextile for especially those who have Cancer from 0 till 7 degrees. So now the sextile aspect is fantastic. And especially those who are from 2 till 7 degrees, Uranus will be doing it from April till April 2020, so 3 times. So if you have anything in 2 to 7 degrees in Cancer, it might even be Venus. This is good because this gentle sextile aspect means some new energy is coming in your life, Uranus, but it doesn't disrupt, just like the square. The square disrupts the previous life. You have to kill off something in a disruptive way, and something new comes in. But with the sextile, no, some new opportunity comes, and it's very different. So for example, if it's your Venus in those degrees, it can be like a new love that comes, but it doesn't stress your life, it doesn't disrupt it. Or if it's your Sun there, it can be some new career opportunities, or some new career, or some new infusion of new exciting goals for you that you have, and it can help you in any careers for them to go really well, that are connected to new technology, to astrology, anything to do with media, social media, and large groups of people, and social activism, for example, or progressive new companies. This can go really well. Opportunities open for you, but in a way that you implant and that you build upon without destroying first. If it's your Moon there from especially 2 till 7 degrees, 2019 after April starts to give gentle positive influences in your home life, personal life, through some female person in your life, in regards to motherhood, in regards to parenthood, in regards to property as well. For example, you can do some pleasant renovations and make it look newer, or buy make it easy for you to buy property or something like that. Or if it's your ascendant from 2 till 7 degrees in Cancer, or even 0 till 7, it just Uranus basically makes a trine then, if it's your ascendant in Cancer rising, trine to your 7th house, and a sextile to your ascendant. So if it's your ascendant in Cancer, Jupiter makes this trine, which is even stronger aspect to your 7th house cusp, which means that you're going to, this can be very positive for relationships. And you see, if you have your ascendant at 0 till 7 degrees, it means that last year Saturn, and this year 2018, was opposing those degrees. So you had some tests in regards to your relationships, maybe what I talked at the beginning. You felt it this year, maybe some responsibility, some coolness, or some slowing down of mutual projects, or even dissatisfaction with a certain stage of relationship. And even if it's your Moon as well, even your Moon, and Sun to a lesser degree, in those, you had it tough 2018, and now you're gonna have it. If it's your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, you're gonna 2019, no more Saturn for you. Saturn is still in the 7th sign from your Ascendant, Sun, or Moon, but it's way less intense than 2018, and now you're gonna feel way more the Uranus energy. With its sextile or trine to the 7th house cusp, which means that some new opportunities are coming in love for you, or in relationships, in partnerships. Some new exciting but not disruptive and excitable and enlivening, and they bring new life force into you. They bring a new perspective into your life, whether personal relationship, business relationship of some sort, so you can expect those. While the later born cancers, for them it's more Saturn influence still. And the good thing is that yes, you still have Saturn in the seventh house, so you have a much more, you've done your suffering in relationships in 2018, or your blockages there, and you've removed the unnecessary then. And from 2019, the new energy is flowing in for you if you have those degrees. Uh, Through others, through relationships, through opportunities as well. So they're having it much nicer than anyone else. And if you're um, a Cancer that is from 14, that has Sun, Moon, or Ascendant from 14 till 19 degrees, and especially from 16 till 19, because Neptune goes retrograde in those degrees. Neptune is making a trine to you. Oh, okay. All right. We like that. At the same time, yes, Saturn is squaring 13 till 21, remember? But Neptune is helping those who are from 14 till 19. So it's going to be easier on those Cancers that have from 14 till 19 degrees Sun, Moon, or Ascendant than those that have it, 13 degrees will feel it harder. 20, 21 degrees a bit harder because they have only Saturn influence there. But those are getting support from Neptune, and they're getting the support from the ninth house in Pisces. And this is what can I say? Neptune can make, things much easier, because as I told you, Saturn dries out things. Saturn makes them much harder, especially in relationships, makes them much more slow moving in partnership, in relationships. But Neptune brings compassion, and it brings it in an easy way. So Neptune actually can, even if there is some difficult period that you're going through a relationship, you'd be compassionate towards the partner. This is your saving card for relationships. And there will be also gentleness and kindness that you can manifest towards each other. And Saturn dries out, Neptune lubricates. Neptune is a watery planet. Neptune is a much more, Neptune rules divine love. So you can be more forgiving, and you can be more, while at the same time staying realistic and having realistic expectations of your partner, and trimming off the unnecessary parts of a relationship or business partnership. But at the same time, you are kind of feeling like you're in the flow, Neptune. You're feeling like this is the right thing to happen, and you're lovingly, if you're letting go of someone, because Saturn transit the seventh house, definitely you can trim off a relationship, partnership. You're doing it in a loving way, you're doing it in an agreeable way, you're doing it in a compassionate way, and you're doing it possibly because there is love, that there is new love that appears, very Neptunian as well. And or that and So yes, there might be also slow moving developments in relationships. Saturn is making the strongest aspect if you're those degrees, but Neptune is hoping those degrees to bring in some magic there, to make it smoother, and actually even to bring in more compassion and love. So it's not gonna be so hard, don't worry. you know and to give you, because it's from the ninth house, like a higher wisdom and loving understanding. Ninth house is understanding about the whole situation, rather than bitterness. And at the same state, the time, ninth house is omens and signs from God, and it's the trust in higher power. So it's almost like you surrender to that process, and what will help the process of changes in your relationship. So some kind of tests that are happening in your personal business relationship will be a sense of higher meaning and purpose for it, and that God's divine love is leading you in the right way. So reading any kind of spiritual literature, reading any kind of, even doing some kind of a Neptunian activities for those who have those degrees 14 to 19 is going to be very helpful. This is what helps with this trine. Maybe become, maybe even some foreign travel to faraway place, which is what Neptune is, can help you a lot. And Neptune in the ninth house. Maybe studying like a course in miracles or something. Ninth house is higher knowledge. Neptune is spiritual understanding or higher knowledge that is about unconditional love, or about higher knowledge that reveals to you the benevolence and the love of and perfection of God and the universe, and the plan of the universe is what can help you. Some travels to a foreign country, or some higher knowledge again can help this whole process. But again, it can even indicate that a soulmate for some of you will appear, because this is Neptune. Neptune can bring us soulmates and can bring us uh, very soulful connections, but soulful experiences as well. More spiritual, more uh, refined. While Saturn is testing us, so while there is some testing in our relationship, and at the same time we're getting this high-minded, inspirational uh, influence from Neptune. And if you have your sun on those degrees, it can be great for any career that is to do with healing, with the helping professions, any career. It can be really good opportunities with any career to do with spiritual guidance, any careers in psychic, guidance, any career in the medical profession, any career in charity, any career in helping those in need, for example, or artistic. Neptune is imagination. So if you're in any careers to do with alcohol and drinks and liquids, or traveling overseas, Neptune can really give good results. Coupled with Saturn, coupled with extra work and responsibilities and duties, but those things connected to Neptune are going really well for people that have 14 to 19 degrees Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant. Um, and that's, uh, I mentioned creative, imaginative careers, or careers connected to healing, to helping others, to spiritual guidance of any sort. Uh, and Pluto, my God, all the planets are affecting you guys. And Pluto is going to be from 20 to 23 degrees in Capricorn. Jeez, those people that have degrees around they're like they're having a few influences there. Some of you are having even Saturn, the 20th and the 21st degree, having Saturn transit as well, and Pluto transit as an opposition in your seventh house. Well, this is those ones, despite of the Saturn influence. So basically 20, 21st degree, the Saturn influence is there, but Pluto is making such deep psychological transformations that your life is not going to be the same anymore after that. And it continues for another year after that. So the process starts from 2019 now, but will end at the end of 2020. If you have those degrees, guys, something will be purged in your life and you will not be the same as before. Pluto is about deep surgery, psychological, physical. Well, I'm not saying you're going to have a physical, but it's something about totally changing your perspective on life and who you are. It's not some cosmetic change that uh, you transform yourself, but it's usually even a relationship. It means a relationship will bring that. It's a relationship that turns your life around, that changes you in a big way, that can be very intense and sexual. Despite Saturn being there, it can still have obstacles to overcome or develop slower as well. But Pluto is, wow, this is something so intense, so deep. And it can be a Plutonic person that you attract as well. Someone who is very powerful, someone with hidden powers, or someone that has a lot of psychological power over you. It can bring someone even very rich or something like that, like a multimillionaire or like that, or someone with very scorpionic qualities. Um, And it can be a very obsessive relationship. So a relationship where you're trying to control each other, who's gonna take the dominance over. But it's life transforming. It's not a relationship that you meet now because oppositions, the seventh house, Pluto is in the seventh house, is not a casual relationship. It's a relationship built on many past lifetimes that is trying to transform some trauma in your life. And if you're already in a relationship, this can, and if there are problems already before that, this can mean the total, final, irrevocable ending of a relationship. There's no turning back after that. Pluto is about death, but also rebirth. While it's ending, something is being reborn, a new relationship. If it might be also in business relationship that there is some power struggle with a business relationship, or some darker forces coming from another person that almost can feel like an attack on you. It might be psychic, it might be psychological, it might be even physical, that comes through a business, personal relationship, or from another person that you, in extreme cases, Pluto can act like a predator of some sort, or some psychic attack from another. Uh, and it's about, again, about testing your uh, extreme boundaries and changing in some deep way. And someone, you might feel like someone is taking your power. You might feel like you're becoming powerless, or that you're becoming very possessive or jealous or controlling, and that's not like you normally. Or you might feel like someone else is doing that to you, trying to control, very jealous, possessive, manipulative. It can play both ways. But the ultimate goal of this Pluto is to teach you to take your power back, whether it's from some habit, and some person will stimulate you for that. uh, First by challenging you possibly, but for you to take your power back, to not to go as extreme, whether feeling like a victim or feeling like a bullying another, to rebalance power. So through someone, through relationships, you're being taught on a very deep level how to have a psychological, how to balance power. If you're someone who was manipulating others, or who was controlling others too tightly, or very jealous, these things will intensify so much for you that you can't do it anymore. Something breaks and you can no longer, like, you see that it's self-destructive, for example, to tap the phone of your partner, or to mistrust every partner you have, or to try to control them, and you change totally the direction of your behavior. Or it can be another way, that someone is trying to take your power, trying to control you, whether it's a business relationship, like a snake around you, and that you feel like suffocated, and it reaches a pivotal time. And maybe it was even if it was like a pattern in your life, something will happen now. Someone even more intense like that will appear, or the behaviors of your partner will become even more intense like that. So it makes you take your power back, and makes you not give your power away to another person. And another level, it can mean just like a very powerful business partnership with someone with that can transform your life as well. Um, and there's so many things that it can play out as. But it's about balancing of power, and it might be it feeling like a life and death experiences for those people. Sometimes Pluto can even bring panic attacks and psychosomatic health issues, but it's because trauma is being released, and it's like it was like an infection of that was constantly in your blood, that was keeping a low grade temperature throughout your life, because Pluto rules trauma from many past lifetimes and things that we're so fearful about. And now what's happening, it's boiling up in a big wound, and it's gonna burst, and it's gonna be messy, and it might feel like, oh my god, this is horrific, way worse than just this low grade temperature. I'm talking figuratively, you know. Uh, but it then something really escalates, and it's a very deep psychological process, and usually it's triggered by another person because of the opposition. It's not necessary so, but something escalates, and it releases in the final burst and purging and eruption, um, so much of the pain from many past lifetimes, or trauma from, especially trauma of relationships and relating to others, that created mistrust or fears or controlling behaviors, that you're liberated and released after that. And usually by the end of 2020, you'd feel like, wow, you're a transformed person. And it's like this you've taken your power back. And it can get a bit dark or very intense, but it's very, with the power struggles, but it's very empowering eventually, and very life transforming. And now let's go through the Mercury retrograde periods. There are 3 periods that Mercury is retrograding. One first is March, most of March. It's in Pisces. Pisces is your 9th house, so you might have to be rearranging some matters, plans about long-term trip. It's a bit more, if you're traveling to a foreign place, your plans can, you be careful for the details not to miss something, or if you have some plans to do there something, they might change and you have to on the go, kind of do plan B and C. Some surprises can happen if you have anything to do with, if you're higher education. It's a good time to retake an exam or to prepare for exam, to teach, very well, to learn very well. If you have some plans about traveling or about teaching, it might be time for revision or time for going back to some higher studies or rereading some higher knowledge of some sort. But generally it's supportive because it's a trine from you. Okay, not so stressful. Then there is the other one, which is in July. Now this affects you very strongly because it's in Cancer, and if you're the last 10 degrees of Cancer, you'll feel it. Sorry, not 10, but from 22, 3, let's put it 22 till 30 degrees. So now Cancer is going retrograde in your sign. This is very pivotal time for some of you. This can mean renegotiations of agreements. This can mean having to use your skills, which is Mercury, with 3 times more effort and with 3 times more application on something. It might be because you're completing some business project or work project. And Mercury skills are about writing, speaking, communicating, any skills you have, whether they're software, computer, whatever, career skills. It's kind of very demanding, and you're being asked to use with a lot of attention to detail those skills. And it can be a bit stressful time because there's many changes of plans when Mercury is retrograde in one sign, especially those, you'll feel it only if you have Sun, Moon, or Ascendant at those 8 degrees. And whatever plan you had, be prepared that you have to change it, that you have to fix some problem that happened. If you're doing some agreements or contracts, they might take longer again to be negotiated, to be researched better. And it can also indicate that you're very busy with some extremely busy with some mercurial activities around that time, writing, speaking, contacting, editing, reporting, sales, marketing, advertising, communication, social media of any sort, or business commercial transactions of any sort, commerce of any sort. If you're actually in any business, this can be a pivotal time of the year for you. When you do some of the most important work, and after that, when Mercury moves direct from August onwards, you can see great results. But this is the crux time where you have to work the hardest. And then the final Mercury retrograde is in November, basically most of November, from the start till the 20th. And it's in Scorpio. It's another water sign. So that's in your 5th house. There can be revision of your love life. There can be revision of the rules in a love relationships and important deep conversations. There can be the coming back or getting in touch with someone if there was a disruption in romantic communications. There can be also revision or revival of an old creative project, or the need to edit it, to fix it a little bit and to improve it, or maybe redoing of something that you've created before to make it look better as well. It can also indicate that if you have children, it can be a period when you are kind of some heavy preparations there, or some that you need to put a lot more mental energy and help with skills of some sort in regards to that, or that your children are going through some period of heavy studies or skill development of some sort. All right, so you see nothing scary. And we have Mars. Let's see when Mars is affecting your sign, guys. Mars, every time it goes into cardinal signs, affects you. So from the start of January till the middle of February, mid-February, Mars is in your 10th house. This is a great time to forge ahead with career project, to put a lot of energy in getting career things done and organized and move forward. But be careful because you can feel more irritable and stressed, especially if you're the uh, Mars is in January in the first 20 degrees of Cancer, squaring in January. So Cancer's in the first 20 degrees. January can at certain period feel more stressful, especially in regards to you might feel like overreacting or getting angry with others or being irritated or being challenged more, but also you're more driven because of those encounters. And there might be some clashes with authority figures. Um, so be careful around that time, but there's more fire in you basically. And if you're from 20 to 30 degrees, that's in February that you feel those things. But good time to forge ahead with career projects. Then Mars enters Cancer from mid-May and stays there till July. So from mid-May, Cancer is in the first 10 degrees of Cancer. And then in June, sorry, not Cancer, Mars is from 20 to 30 degrees in Cancer. So this is, it's in your own sign. It's time for new beginnings. But July is, interestingly enough, June. July gets the retrograde Mercury, so it's not. So Mars is going to be in your sign. You're very active this time of the year from mid-May if you're the first 10 degrees, or June if you're the last 20 degrees. You're extremely busy with starting new things. You're physically more active as well. Can be a great time to start the workout routine. Again, you can feel more irritable, more explosive. Be careful in this period. Mars, never act too rashly in case you want to shoot yourself in the foot. But if you have some productive area to put this energy into, this will be very stimulating. If you have some project you can put a lot of energy to work towards, then it's fantastic. But if you don't, you can generally feel that you're just, how do I say, uh, that you're more irritable basically. So you have to be careful, with Mars, always count till 3 or wait till the next day so you don't regret the actions after that. But it's going to give you an impetus to move, to get things moving, to start doing things. And that can be quite helpful since Saturn is aspecting so many of your degrees, but more stressful because Mars and Saturn will be in opposition this period. So a bit more frustrating, but there is a push to move forward. And then finally, Mars is going to be in your, it's going in your fourth house from October, and in October it's from 0 to 18 degrees, so the first 20 degrees. And then in November, Mars is from 18 to 30 degrees. So depending when you are, you feel more challenged in matters regarding your family. In October, if you're those degrees, there might be provocations from loved one, or too stressful developments there, or maybe the need to fix something in your home, some possibilities of accident, something breaking and like that. But if you want to move, then Mars can give you the energy to move around that time. Or if you want to fix or start building something around the house, this can be a great time. Or if you want to do some more energized project around the home or project with loved ones, it can be the time. But again, throughout this time, in October those first degrees, in November those degrees, you feel more irritable again, and you feel more willing to to bite back, to be more moody. So around those times you have to be more careful not to react too personally and emotionally with others, especially in business and things like that. So anyway, wow, so many things happen in Cancer. Oh, it's gonna be some year. It's so many people are being changed, transformed. So many people are being challenged to grow, being from the Cancer sign as well. It's one of the signs that is getting it the most. That some of the biggest changes in your life are happening. It's exciting, guys, because ultimately Rahu in your first house wants to empower you, wants to make you independent, wants to start going after new beginnings in your life. So of course, there will be the need to let go of certain things as well. So wow, and if you'd like a month by month breakdown, I am doing with my teacher written horoscopes with no astrology, very little there, but it's month by month. This month, this is what's happening. This month, this is what's happening for those degrees, for those days people born. So that's going to be a month by month. This is more like common altogether. So keep coming to this video over the months that are starting and consulting it, because there's so much information. I'm sure you could not absorb all of it now. And hopefully this will be like a guiding light for you. Thank you.